After 4 days of deliberations, Saskatoon City Council has finalized the 2026-2027 city budget, landing on an increase of 6.7% for 2026 and 5.81% for 2027. As the largest share of the budget at approximately 25%, Council passed the police services budget with an increase of 8.6% for 2026 and 6.2% for 2027. Councillors combed through 108 potential options to trim the budget down.
I just want to put a spotlight on the value of this process, that it does, draw out all of these legacy items and puts them in front of council and the public to reassess, is this something that we still want to continue funding or not?
A number of those options were passed over without a motion or debate, including an option to close down George Ward Pool. Council ultimately voted down any reductions to the youth sports subsidy and kept in place a number of other existing community grants. A grant for a Saskatchewan Health Authority-operated detox centre was discussed, with some councillors questioning the origins of the grant and the blurring of lines between city and provincial responsibility.
I certainly, see this as something that would be very much a provincial government responsibility. I don't have the full history of how this came to be, but certainly I would say that the BDU is not going to stop or likely reduce anything if we were to make this change here.
I'm really glad that we're going through this exercise and going through these points, because clearly we're finding some legacy things. This one's like a $400,000 poof that disappears every year to the SHA, and it comes back to my point about blurring the lines of responsibility and who should be paying for what.
This should be taken over by the SHA, and I think that's, I have zero problems for the city stopping funding on this, because there's other options going on.
Council voted to cut that grant by 50% for 2026 and fully for 2027. While bus fares will increase, Council ultimately opted to not make changes to bus frequency or hours of operation.
Reducing service hours during slower periods would cause irregularities, which would negatively impact ridership numbers and likely push some riders onto what are now peak periods, leading to the unpredictability for transit of full buses and impacting the quality and reliability of services on routes throughout the city.
As the speaker noted, it'd be difficult to do that without there being reliability and dependability on the schedule. There would be peaks and valleys within specific routes that would have adjustments to frequencies and changes through the midday from what would be our peak periods.
We really have to focus on the reliability of this and making sure that we are actively supporting our transit and moving forward in the direction that we want.
I don't think that we are doing ourselves any favors by risking that reliability and that opportunity to continue to expand ridership as we wish to launch a successful system.
Residents will be paying more for some other services in the new year, including an increase to the entry fee at the Saskatoon landfill to $20, increase in pet license fees, indoor rink rentals, and golf course fees. Leisure centres will also reduce their operating hours by a half hour per day. Among new spending, Council approved funding toward the city's affordable housing plan, an Indigenous-led peacekeeping pilot project, and the creation of a team of transit police to address community safety concerns.
While we have to constantly figure out that balance between where to cut and where to make sure those core services are there, and in some situations you actually have to add one if we're trying to improve community safety for a large segment of our population. Those are not easy things to do as a council, but they're doing the things that we know we must do if we're going to look at this in the long view and not be the city that, makes, political decisions instead of trying to do the right ones.
In the end, the 6.7% increase for 2026 represents a property tax increase of $13.18 for an average household assessed at $394,000, while the 5.81% for 2027 represents a $12.20 per month increase. For Rogers TV, I'm Eric Steiner.